Welcome everyone to the studio. Thanks for joining us today. Happy to be here. It's a beautiful spring day here in Portland, Oregon, and I hope it's lovely wherever you are. So yesterday I did a little bit of spring cleaning on my palette, which really kind of got me to thinking about color and how I have my palette organized and why. So I thought today I'd start out today's lesson with a teeny little color theory lesson, just a little taste, and then we'll get into demo. So yeah, let's show the little photo of me out there cleaning. So okay, cool. So we just rolled the tray outside, and I had already done some hand cleaning of individual sticks. And I had also kind of filled in some spots that from my backstock, that little gaps that were missing. And so I just put on my mask there, and that little feather duster is a very great way to clean the tray without too much fuss and muss, but definitely want to do that outside with a mask on because it does kick up quite a lot of dust. You wouldn't want to do that inside. So that's a really kind of fun and nice way, and my garden is looking beautiful already. So, color theory. So there are three aspects to every color responsible for its appearance. Its hue. Is it yellow? Is it red? Is it blue? Is it green? Its value. How light or dark it is on the value scale. So light to dark. So high key to low key. And then its intensity, how bright or dull it is. Now the intensity, also called saturation, sometimes referred to as chroma, but I think that that's a little confusing. So I usually kind of bounce between saturation and intensity. Now that's the tricky one, and the one that I think is really hardest for people to kind of tease out. Because to really orchestrate color, you want to be able to see those three aspects kind of individually or independently of one another, and be able to kind of, I'm going to use the word manipulate them in your paintings. Now you can think of, just like value is a continuum from light to dark, intensity, you can think of intensity in that same way. So let's look at these examples to start out with. So this one, you could think of color as being very prismatic, like as bright as it can get. And I have a lot of prismatic colors on my palette. So prismatic. So these are prismatic. Not talking about value, just how bright they are. Then we can go to muted colors. So colors that that are a little bit neutralized, a little bit grayed. Then from there we can think of colors as being muted colors, and then prismatic grays. So grays that have a little bit of color in them. Then achromatic grays, grays that have no discernible hue. So all that can be a little confusing when we get up there and painting, but we want to be able to do that, because in order to paint in a kind of painterly, using fractured color, using optical mixing, all those kind of fun things the Impressionists use, that people that are painting in a painterly way employ, we want to be able to see those differences. So another good example is this guy. So here we have three colors that are about relatively the same intensity, but they are of different hues. And I've mixed them here. Say, let's pretend this is a value mass, say a sky. So now we've got this kind of playful mix of color within this value mass. And we want that usually. We don't want to use just one flat color in a shape. So we got to be able to understand these things pretty well to be able to do this. Now, these are all about the same intensity. they're, to me, muted colors. They're not like the brightest thing in the box, right? If they're a little tamped down, they've got a little bit of white or gray in them. All right, so then there's that. So let's look at this. These guys. So these guys are a good example of that kind of, this is the same hue family, but they are getting grayed. Okay, so now let's take a look. Let's go into the palette here. It's looking really pretty right now. Love that. Let's take a look at some colors in here, and then I'm going to make some swatches up here on the palette, you guys. So if we go in here and let's pick out something super bright. This is a really, really prismatic green, right? So let's make a swatch up here. Whoa, that's like about as prismatic as you're going to get. Okay, so let's get something that is about the same value. Okay, there's maybe a little bit difference in value. Maybe we need to go like this, about like that. Let's see. I might be off. I'm going to get my little thing here. Okay, so now we go here. Wow, that's really popping out. This is about that value, because we could see when I put that on there, it's lighter than this one. Now we go here. It's really hard to decide what value it is, but I think this one is somewhere in between this and this, because when we go here, wow, it really pops out. Here, not so much. Here, that kind of pops out. So I think that these are actually really close in value. Let's do another one. Here, this is good. So this guy, this blue, and then this guy. And you can kind of see that the line between them is kind of soft. It doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of difference in there. And, oops, wrong thing. So this guy, it's probably it's somewhere in between. It's not that. It's probably about this value. This one is definitely right about this value. You can see there's hardly any difference. So we know that these are really close in value, but very different in intensity or saturation. And they are in the same hue family. Let's do one more. All right, these guys I think are pretty close. This one, super prismatic. Whoa. That's one of those yellows you go, what do I need that for? Well, there are things you need that for. Okay, let's do that. Is that the same value? Maybe that's wrong. I'm not sure. Let's check it out. That's really, yeah, that. We get over here, that's really popping out. Get over here, that's really popping out. Maybe there's something a little bit lighter in value that's a little closer, that's not as intense. Maybe this one. Maybe this one's closer. I think so, because look at that. When you put them next to each other, they're just diving right into one another. It's a soft line in between there, meaning there's very little contrast between them. That means that they're very close in value. Now here's when it gets super tricky, when we start choosing different colors. When we say, are they the same value? Let's try a red and a green, because that gets tricky. Super bright red. How do we find a green that is the same value? I'm going to guess that this one is. I'm going to see. Now let's check it out. Okay, it's darker than that. It's lighter than this one, so we know that it's somewhere in here. Now let's go over here. Yeah, see, these two are just about the same value, right in there, right in between here. It's popping out there, so we know it's that. It's popping out there. It'll get over here. It's way to here. So if you took a black and white photo of these, of all of these actually, they would be about the same value. So understanding that and playing with that in our paintings, that's hugely key. So I just wanted to mention as well that I'm going to be at IAPS in June. On June 23rd, I think it is, that I'm going to be presenting a program that is Loosen Up Your Landscapes. And then I think a couple days later, I think it's either Saturday or the Sunday, I'm going to be doing a presentation that I'm calling Crack the Color Code. So way more of this stuff, so you can really crack that code and really have that really deep understanding of color theory. So I'll be there. I'm excited to be presenting. And so today you're kind of getting a little preview because I'm going to try to do a nice loose landscape for you, and I got a little taste of color theory for you going. And then with that, today is the very last sale of our Light and Shadow workshop. It's $50 off for a spring sale, and of course just in time for spring, so we could paint those luminous shadows. The workshop has 4 study videos, and now it has 6 full-length demonstrations. We added a 6th one, so that's there. If you already purchased the Light and Shadow workshop, that 6th demonstration is now available to you. So check that out. You have lifetime access to that workshop, and it includes a peer sharing Facebook group. And I really love the workshop because it has a breadth of subject matter. It has a figure and interior, a canopy of trees, a plein air project, a masterwork copy, and a cityscape. So if you're kind of new to pastel, it gives you that deep understanding of light and shadow and its influence on the mood of your painting. So I think it's a really good one. We cover a lot of ground in this workshop. So again, it's really for all levels. I really think it's a great entree into pastels. And today is the very last day of our sale. So go to the website, paintinglessonswithmarla.com, and check it out. Okay, yeah, and so active subscribers of monthly pastel painting lessons online, you get your extra $15 off of that workshop if you haven't already purchased it. And you get that at checkout automatically if you're logged into the website. So make sure, if you want it, make sure you're logged in when you go to get it. Okay, so today I'm happy to be painting this lovely kind of cozy little neighborhood scene. I like this kind of stuff, very familiar, and so it's nice. I'm gonna paint on Pastelmat. I'm going to use this light colored Pastelmat, and I'm thinking I'm going to use a little bit of an alcohol wash before I get to my final layer. Is that straight enough, you guys? I think so. And I'll take questions at the end again today because I think that kind of works out. Lets me just get into a little bit of a flow with my painting.
Yeah, and feel free to write the questions in the chat.
Yes, yeah. And we'll make some time to answer questions at the end. Okay, let me get my hair out of the way. Is it pretty straight? You want me to fix it? I can fix it. If it bugs you. What? Yeah, it's funny. All right. And I'm also I just got to say a little something about monthly. We're just about rounding out year 4, and we are so kind of over the moon excited. about finishing up and just about the new stuff that's going to be in year 4. It's definitely taking stuff to the next level for sure, and that's really exciting. So if you've been doing the lessons with me for a while, you know, I super appreciate my loyal students, but I also have to say that year 4 is just gonna, it's really meant to take you up to that next notch, and it's gonna be cool. And we've also got some different stuff for year 4, which we'll be talking about more, but I think it's gonna be make people happy. Yes. All right, so I'm planning a little square here because I love them. I also, I'm gonna get this stick going. Sometimes when you're just starting out with, this is a brand new stick, and it you need to kind of get it rolling a little bit. What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll come back to it. I love this shadow shape in the foreground. It's always cool. Oh, I know what I was going to say. This reference photo, that tree in the background, I don't think it's so great. I don't like the shape of it. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. It's a little funky. So I'm not going to stay totally true to that. Yep, a little scoring on that paper. It's all right. All right. That's kind of it. It's got this neat sky. I might want to catch a little more sky than I gave myself room for, so I'll do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and put down a little color. And then I'm going to bring in some alcohol. Ooh, really some good scoring in there. Some of the paper has that. Part of that might have been the way I stored it, but this paper does sometimes have that going on. Be a little playful with the color. There's this guy back in here that's a little, and then there's this tree that's this bush. It's kind of like that. And then, oops. Now this is all, when I add the alcohol, it's going to darken. So I just want to kind of plan ahead for that, and so that's okay. I'm going to let this cast shadow have a little more color. A little more action. That's nice. And just get that in there nice and simple. And maybe a little bit of something in the sky. Love the beautiful clouds. And then maybe I want a little bit more shadow. Okay. All right, that's good. And now I'm going to add some alcohol. So I'm going to use a relatively small brush. I guess it's kind of middle size. It's a number 7 Rosemary Ivory Long Flat, in case you're interested. And I'm using this one. I want to be a little more controlled. Sometimes I'll add the alcohol and I'll just go kind of wild with it. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to have a little more control. So I'm going to use it. I'm being a little more careful about how much alcohol. Sometimes I just go ahead and, cover the whole thing and almost like a wash. But I'm going to use this as a kind of just setting the pastel into the paper. And I can also, if I want, kind of get a little texture, use the brush strokes, because I'm really turning the pastel into paint in a sense here. Gonna get a little bit of drips. But I want this kind of light, airy feel. That got dark, but that's okay. I can come back in with another layer. I'll be able to add lights with the pastel. Also don't want to saturate the paper too much. It's okay if you do, but just because today I want to just keep going. I don't want to have to dry this too much. This paper will take a lot of abuse, so you can do so much with it. And then here's my guy here. This guy. Just a little bit of a funky looking tree. It looks like it maybe got some storm damage or something. Okay, that's a really nice start. Simple, just masses. All right, okay, now I hesitate to turn the hairdryer on. Should I? Kevin's looking like. Why don't?
How about you pitch light and shadow, and I'll bring it. I'll bring it in the other room.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the. Yeah, we're being hesitant because sometimes we'll trip the breaker, and if we trip the breaker, we'll lose the stream. So that's not a good thing.
It's bye-bye live stream.
Yeah, bye-bye live stream.
Yep. All right.
It'll only take like 30 seconds or something.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I'll talk about light and shadow. It's a workshop that I did, I think a couple years ago now, and but it's pretty rich. It's in doing the sale, went back and took a look at it, and sometimes I forget how I feel about things, but it's a really good one. That's great. And let's see, IAPS is coming up, and I can't wait to see everyone in person. It's been so long. So yeah, Tony and Richard and Lynn Asetla, and who else is going to be? I think Jacob Aguiar. So I'm going to just do a little bit of bragging because just because I can. Presenters Jacob Aguiar, I think he's going to be there. Brenda Boylan, Lynn Asetla. Who else? Those are all, they've been all students of mine. So that's one time or another. So it's really fun to see people coming up in the pastel world, and that I got to be a little part of that. It's really great.
Okay.
And it's going to be fun to see everyone. And I hope some of you are going to be there. All right, Bryce, here we go. Want to tell me?
Yeah, a little bit left, and then that looks great. Perfect.
Okay, all right, there we go. Okay, we're all ready to go. Yay.
We didn't trip the breaker, so
Yay.
we're still here.
We're still here. It's a really good thing. Usually it's when we get the hair dryer going and have the heaters on. So that's usually what the big deal is. Okay, so I like this. I'm feeling good about it. I'm gonna go ahead and get, let's see, get it down a little more. The other thing that I've been playing with a lot is the Blue Earth pastels. I've just recently, I've always liked them, but I've just kind of, I don't know, there's something about them lately that I'm like, oh yeah, that's nice. So it's good just to stay open to things. So here again, so this is within this value mouse, I've got a little bit of variety of hue, different kinds of, these are, this is a kind of blue green and a dark, it's a little bit darker, but not much. So I'm getting that variety. So like in here, this is about the same kind of value, but a little bit different in hue, a little less blue. And now I want something a little more muted right here, soft. I'm going to go ahead and get something in for the cast shadow in the house. Well, I already got that. What about those windows? Just a mark. Boom. There's the window. That's all I want. Don't really want. I can come back and get more if I want to later, but right now I don't need anything more. And I'm going to lighten up that chimney. And when I do that, see, I've got the shadow side of the chimney automatically because I've got that dark mark there. And come down like that. And this is the light side of the house. Just using the side of the stick. So I'm not drawing a line like that. I'm just pulling that stick, carving the shape out like that. And I can come back to that a little later. So for now, I think that's okay. And I always have the opportunity to revisit things. Now I'm going to pull in some nice little negative shapes down here. Get that nice airy feel. The grass in front of the silhouette, like that. Same here, a little bit of grass popping up in front of the dark. And here, just pop. It's nice. And very nice. Okay. I think that distant tree is kind of cool, but I don't want it to be quite as dark as it looks in the photo. I'm going to keep it nice and like so. Then the shadow on the pavement. Oh, I lied. I'm going to put something else in. Put this in. Oh, I know what I want to do. I want to put little bits of get this. This is like a light aqua. It's pretty light, but I want that little sparkle happening there. And now the pavement. I'm going to keep that pavement pretty light. I'm going to use this lavender, I think, to start. And this right in here is kind of a nice opportunity to pick out some negative shapes. Like that. Might be even a little bit lighter. I like this, kind of looks like a telephone pole or something. Go even lighter. This kind of dappled light here in the oops, I want to use this. I'll come back to this section. But that's kind of getting it. And within this shadow shape, I'm going to bring in a little bit more color. I don't know if I want that curb. Maybe. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see if I want that or not. I'm not sure I do. All right, let's go to the sky and get those beautiful cloud shapes, and that's going to really give it some real quality of light that I think is really it's really attracted me to the scene in the first place. So I'm going to get these beautiful clouds. The rim lighting on the clouds. Just bring them right across this tree. I'll get the tree in with ooh, I got to get that. This is a little higher, I think, and I've got it.
Here's one question, Marla, because I'm curious about this too. What would you say the focal point of this piece is?
Oh, it's probably the house. I don't, it's such a lovely little scene. I don't know that every piece has to have this like absolutely defined, focal point. It's sure got a lot of interest to it, so it's got this little entree into it, and okay, now that we've got that, I want to get that's not, I want something a little bluer. How about this? Yeah, this is better. All right, let's get now I want sky, a little bit more of that blue sky. It's pretty. Now I'm going to change up the blue sky stick to something a little bit lighter in value as I head down towards the horizon a bit. Now I want to clean up my roof line. Oops, I don't want to get it too much. I went in there and messed that up. I got to clean it up. Oh, I'm gonna switch to a different stick. This one. Okay, and okay, so right now I feel like it's pretty nice what's happening. I don't let's see. So now I have to just kind of decide what else I want in here. And one way I can get this is by doing that instead of really drawing it. And then maybe it gets a little more this in here. I'm not sure I like it, but I'll stick with it for now. Okay, and I want something in there for the tree. And I don't want to put it in super drawn either, so I'm going to use this stick, the side of my stick here, and get some idea of this tree and try to make it a little more elegant and not so it's nice and soft and light touch. And then I can come back in and get some negative shapes if I want. That's nice. Same thing with the sky. Little floating clouds. And there's a little bit of foliage on that tree, and I want to just suggest it. I mean, it's just this kind of like little, it's like leafing out. So a little bit of color on here. And then, so then there's a couple other little spots that I want to get a little bit lighter, like this guy. Maybe a couple little darks back in here. But yeah, I think it's pretty neat. Maybe even a little darker up here. Give it a little more oomph. Not totally liking this, so I think I'm going to just keep this really simple. whenever I'm unsure about something, to me, I'll try to go back to the simplest solution. That's pretty good. And this, fun stuff. Okay, and then we can even give it a little more pop. Super pretty. And then, you know, you could just play with the edges and the cloud shapes and get the little silhouettes, and, you know, maybe there's this little detail at the top of the chimney, that kind of thing. Maybe that needs to go a little lighter even. I like to separate these out a little. Yeah, that's nice. And then I could, if I want to put in some things like this, I can. It's a little more sparkle on this edge of this. I don't know if that fits. Want to some things in there like that. But I really am trying to say the most with the least, so I think kind of achieved that here. So there's a little structure back in there. Then maybe the house gets a little more bright. Like so. I'm not sure that's it, but I think I'm just about there on this. Maybe take some questions if people want.
Sure, I have a couple questions.
All right.
Is intensity and saturation the same?
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to do when you can't buy blue spruce individually?
I'm working on it. I'm working on alternatives. So I bought some Rembrandts and also some Art Spectrum that I think are pretty close, and you know, I'm trying to wean myself off of it. and when I have a kind of solution, I'll definitely be letting you guys know what I think.
And have you painted this scene before?
No, I have not. No.
Do you want a couple more questions?
Yep.
So should I be putting my shadows in when blocking in? Normally I just add them at the end.
Yeah, you should plan for them because in order to keep them really nice and luminous, you don't want to be putting them over another layer. So at least in a broad sense, the main mass, I mean, if you're adding like little dappled lights, then yeah, you can get those over the top. But I would say I would definitely not try to put the shadows over a lighter layer. On the whole, the lights, just like in oil painting, so the lights are going to be thicker, and the darks can be thinner, and in that way, you can keep it from looking too overworked and muddy, for sure. Yeah.
And
now, I'm not saying that that's hard and fast rules. Everything I'm saying is to me a rule of thumb, not a rule. So just keep that in mind.
And why did you do an underpainting on this piece?
Well, I wouldn't say so much on this. I wouldn't characterize what I did as an underpainting so much as a base layer. And that base, well, I guess it depends on how you want to think about it. In some sense, it was an underpainting. In some sense, it's a base layer. But it was pastel. And so I just used the alcohol to kind of set that base layer into the paper. And so it's definitely not interacting with the layers in the same way that if I had just left it alone. So it kind of sets in there and it's thinner. It makes it like a set into the paper.
Cool. And for those white clouds, were those white pastels or were they tinted at all?
I think, no, it wasn't white. Well, boy, it's pretty white. Yep, pretty white. I would say that was white. Yeah, it was this one. It's pretty white. Yeah, in fact, it is white. This is a blue earth, and it says on it white.
Cool.
So.
And why did you choose not to put any whites in the alcohol wash? Because just like kind of going along with what I just said, I want the lights to be the thickest thing. And I knew that when I added the alcohol, that it's just going to darken it. So there's, to me, there's like no purpose for them. Does that make sense? And what attracted you to this scene?
Oh, it's just sparkling.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we have two more questions from the chat. There could be a couple more coming in a little while. But
Okay.
So which brand are the really chromatic pastels that you're using? It's a little tricky.
They're all brands. The chromatic ones are all brands. I mean, most brands have that range. The brands that we're mostly using, Terry Ludwig's, Blue Earth, Unison, Schmincke, that's what like if you were to buy their whole entire set, it's going to cover the entire spectrum in a very broad range of value, hue, and saturation. So they all have it. Just some seem like they have more, and some of the really bright ones that I have, are maybe they're a particular brand, but that's not to say that each brand they have them.
And when will year 4 be coming out?
Year 4 is going to be coming out. I believe I'm not going to make promises, but I think it's the very beginning of July. Yeah. So pretty soon, and it's pretty exciting. And we'll be kind of telegraphing because we have kind of a theme this year, and it's going to be
again, kind of that next level and kind of different and really, really exciting. So.
Cool. So you want to just finish with two last questions?
Sure.
Okay. So can you recommend a fixative?
Yes. Can you grab it, Kevin? Behind you.
Over here. Yeah.
It's right behind Kevin. He doesn't even have to.
There we go.
All right, thank you. This is the one that I use currently. I used to use the Lascaux, but when I first started doing pastels, that Lascaux fixative was about $9 a can. And boy, I bet you it's upwards of $30-something a can now. So at one point or another, it just got untenable for me, and I started exploring other alternatives. So this one, I think, is really pretty good. So it's Krylon, but it's the fine art. It's this particular blue can. It's not the workable. Don't get the workable fixative. It's an entirely different product. So this is for finish work, but you can apply it in between layers. Fixative has to be applied in a very particular manner so that you don't get that maximum value shift that you will get no matter which one you use. You will get a value shift if it's not applied properly. So, and there's temperature considerations and all kinds of things. I have a YouTube video on applying fixative, so you can check that out.
All right. So how about one last question?
Yep.
Do you sharpen your pastels, or are the points from use?
The points are from use. I do not sharpen them. Occasionally I'll sharpen a new pastel for signing, but I don't sharpen them. That's my mark making style, makes them look like little bullets. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, I think that's about it. Make sure that you go and check, because today is the last day of the Light and Shadow sale. And so just till tonight, $50 off. It's a really, really good deal. And I do think it's a really worthwhile workshop. And we did add a brand new project to it. It's a Renoir copy, and gives you the opportunity to really practice that dappled light and all the things that I was talking about today with the little color demonstration. That particular project is great for giving you some practice on that one. All right, I hope you guys have a great weekend and get to paint and draw and sketch and get outside, and we will see you again next week. All right, bye.